often lately do you find yourself and those around you saying things like, I can't handle one more change. It's too overwhelming. I'm too stressed. I'm burnt out. I can't take on one more thing. It seems like this is a constant narrative that I hear all over the place these days. And it got me thinking of a couple things. One is the importance of our language and that we have to stop using stressed and overwhelmed interchangeably, because the language we use actually influences how we experience things, and we can make things worse for ourselves by how we define them. What I mean by that is that stress and overwhelm are very different. If you have not yet read Brene Brown's Atlas of the Heart, this has been a game changer for me and so many of my clients. When we are stressed, it is a cognitive assessment that we are going to be unable to cope with the environmental demands that are placed on us. And so when we are stressed, we need to reevaluate, rally our resourcefulness, call in help, call in reinforcement to cope and make it through. However, when we are overwhelmed, it is literally an inability to function. We can't just push through. We can't rally our resourcefulness because we can't even think clearly. The only remedy for overwhelm is nothingness. We have to stop, we have to rest, we have to be done so that we can reset. And if we tell ourselves that we're overwhelmed, we will actually start to make that come into reality. And so we have to be clear, am I stressed? Because what I need when I'm stressed is very, very different than what I need when I'm overwhelmed. So when I hear people say, I'm stressed, I'm overwhelmed, I say, well, which is it? And it's really important that we help ourselves and others distinguish that. So that's the first thing that I would encourage you when you're thinking about these conversations and people are talking about burnout. Really, what is it? Because there's a different path forward depending on which emotion we're experiencing. The second is we have to be super, super mindful of those stories we tell ourselves. And this is a constant theme in the work that I do. But if we start to tell ourselves, oh, I can't cope, oh, it's too hard, the reality is we cope with change each and every day. Change is a constant in our lives. It's really about, can I reframe it and say, this is such a good opportunity for me to learn? Or can I focus on what I do know, right, when the other stuff is unsettling? And so bringing ourselves to focus on what do I know for sure today versus what's the story I'm making up or the anxiety I'm creating, worrying about something that may or may not happen. And think about other changes that you've been through, big or small in your life, and how you navigated through. Those same skills apply here. And so if we want to have more impact in our lives and we want to have more productive teams and more productive communities, we've got to be really clear and be careful of how we label what we're experiencing. We've got to be mindful of the stories that we tell ourselves. And we have to start to normalize the messiness and discomfort of this disruptive world and find a way to support one another as we find a path forward. So my invitation and challenge for you is be mindful of how you label stress versus overwhelm, and be careful of throwing the burnout word out there too loosely. My second is be really careful of the narrative that you tell yourself around change, and see if you can reframe it to, I'm excited to learn even though I'm a little nervous, or I've been through this before, I know I'm going to be able to navigate this. These are normal human experiences. We just forget that we actually have a lot of capacity and strength inside of us. So I hope this helps. Would love to hear what you're learning and noticing as you put this into practice. And remember, never ever let anyone dull your sparkle.